So now we are going to start section 3. In this section, we have invited speakers to explore the topic, can innovation and craftsmanship be good friends? Mr. Hosoo Masataka, brand director of Hosoo in Kyoto, and Ms. Gabriela Sánchez de la Barquera, head of creative projects and senior designer of Vlisco in Helmond. They will present their experience with us. Masataka-san is an innovative brand director of Hosoo, a traditional kimono textile maker based in Kyoto, Japan. He aims to promote to use the Nijinshin-Oli weaving techniques in worldwide fashion and design scenes. He's now going to share with us his intake on this relationship between innovation and craftsmanship. Masataka-san, please.
Hello, everyone. The word innovation can be easily linked to science and technology. It can be used to represent something new, something exciting, and sometimes change the way we view and use the world around us. What if the word innovation was associated with traditional Japanese textile? What if traditional Japanese textile meets science? What if traditional Japanese textile meets technology? What would happen? These are questions we have asked ourselves for past 10 years, but from different perspectives, we changed what if to when. When traditional Japanese textile meets science, what would happen? When traditional Japanese textile meets technology, what would happen? More than textile, this is a vision. We now have to drive innovation in our company. It has been privileged to collaborate with famous designers, fashion houses, and luxury hotels to make our vision a reality. I'm Masataka Hosoo. I'm 12th generation and current director of Hosoo in Kyoto, Japan. Today, I'm honored to share our experiences, possibilities, and hopes for the future of textiles. This is in front of my studio. This is the old Kyoto house, so 200 years ago built. Now we still make a kimono and textile. And this is a kimono. This is obi, like a belt of kimono. And we still make our company Hosoo established 1688 as a textile studio in Kyoto. And our textile called Nishijin Textile. Nishijin is a district of name. So this is center of Kyoto, about a very small place, about 3 square meter areas. This is a silk industry area. The history have 1,200 history in Kyoto. Kyoto is a 1,000-year capital. Before, our client is Imperial Kyoto and Shogun Tokugawa, top of samurai, and shrine temples. We have been making tailor-made textile for them. We don't care time and money. We just only focus to just only building more than 1,200. This is our background, and this is my family history. This is a sample of textile about 200 years ago. And for example, this is the order from the this one. Order from this is the crest of Imperial. I can okay. Yes, but we focus so tailor-made textile. And now our main business is for kimono. But you can imagine these days Japanese people do not wear kimono in daily life. The situation is a little bit changed. This 30 years, kimono market is declining. We lost 90% of business. Yeah, we become a 10%. And we have to continue after 100, 200. And 10 years ago, I back to my family business. And I started to new challenge for textile for the overseas, not only kimono market. And the first time I participated in 2006, I participated in the Maison Objet, the interior fair in Paris, and we participated this one, but no success. We make a sofa, but our textile obi is very narrow, about 32 centimeters wide. That's a human scale. If we make chairs, we need stitches. That's a big problem. And next year, I try again in the Maison Objet, and I focus to the pillow, and such as traditional Japanese patterns. And we got orders, so 2 customers. One is Liberty of London, and one is the Lane Crawford in Hong Kong. But so we got orders, but not so much, so business no success, just few orders. And every day we try again to the Maison Objet and Salon del Mobile, Design Week, but situation is the same. We got some order, but with no success for the business, because just only pillow done. And our turning point is 2008. We participated the exhibition in Paris, in Louvre Decorative Museum in Paris. And we participated our traditional obi. And this is the concept of the Japanese senses. And we participated the traditional obi. And another part is for animation of the Team Labo and the game from the Nintendo. That's kind of Japanese senses exhibitions. And this exhibition moved to the New York next year. And I got the email from the architect after the exhibition in New York, from the Peter Marino in New York. And they send these pictures. So their request is, please make a textile for them, their project. But so, look this. This is not Japanese pattern. They want a contemporary pattern, but they want to use for traditional Japanese technique and material. That's our turning point. Before, I think we have to go traditional Japanese pattern, we have to make some products, but their request is just only more contemporary, but used for traditional technique and material. And they want to use for the material for the interiors, just to us. That's a Christian Dior project. And, but we have one big problem for the wide is very narrow, 32 centimeter wide. And I decided to develop for original rooms. We can use the traditional kimono technique and the material, but wide is 150 centimeter wide. Finally, I took more than 1 year, but I got success for the 150 centimeter wide textile. And now, so this is a Christian Dior New York. They use for our textile. The chair, upholstery is our textile. And the whole wall, the wall covering is our textile. Not Japanese, but yep, this is in textile. This is for chairs, pillow. This is not back of the back side, the wall covering. Looks very contemporary. Yes. Yeah, today I bring our textile, so you can imagine. So, like this is not same, but like this one. Our textile based on silk, and sometimes I use for the special material. So we call the haku. Haku is Japanese paper, so put on the real gold leaf, after then cut and weaved into the silk. This material developed about 300 years ago in Kyoto, because before imperial never put on the jewelry like a Western country. For them, it's kimono, textile equal like a jewelry. So sometimes we put on the Japanese paper, put on the platinum and cut and weave it into the silk. But that's we use for the yellow silver with paper. And this is the old Shanghai. This is the old Hong Kong. The same concept in the world. This is Osaka, Japan, Tokyo, Ginza. Now we provide to textiles, so about 100 Dior stores in the world. This is 150 centimeter wide. And this is another project. This is the Ritz-Carlton Tokyo. They use for the headboard. This is wallpapers of the restaurant, the blue one. That's ceiling, the top. This is the restaurant of Tokyo. And the restaurant, the Noma of the Copenhagen, the second restaurant opened in Tokyo. The name is Inua. They opened about 3 months ago. This is textile. Sometimes used for the curtains, transparent curtains. Now we work with 70% interior project, and 20% is a fashion house, and 10% contemporary art project. And the interior projects such as Dior, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Barquera, they use for traditional kimono technique. This is a transparent textile. We developed original loom about 4 years ago. Used for the summer kimono technique or woven technique. This is our loom for the 150 centimeter wide. And this is the drawing. Sometimes we do the drawing and after convert to the textile. In this case, it's for the chairs. So right side. Yeah. This is collaborate with a furniture brand in Milan, and sometimes collaborate with. We collaborate with Bang & Olufsen from Danish speaker maker. They use for the textile for the in front of the textile. But this is the Milan Design Week with that concept model. The sound is terrible now. But and this is for collaborate with the Paluzzieri, the tailor-made brand in Milan. This is a presentation in Paris with the AD Magazine's event. So this is a marble with our textiles. And 2012, so we collaborate with Fashion House. This is Paris Men's Collections. In January, we collaborate with Mihara Yasuhiro in Japanese designers. We developed textile for them. This is camouflage textile. And this is 2013. We collaborate with the same designer, Mihara. And they use for the down jackets, sometimes sneakers. We have videos. This is the first time, 2012, in Paris. This silver is we use traditional materials, paper with real silver. This is camouflage, but a little bit so Japanese patterns. This is used for the no performance techniques. Normally we provide the textile for no performance. This is the gold. Gold pie is paper with gold, our traditional material. Sometimes gold is coming, sometimes fade out. This is that's why the structure of wood. And this is collaborate with Tumi, it's a back brand, and the camouflage wines. And Tumi is normally focused to more function. So normally they use for the nylon for very strong. And our materials are based on silk, and they will be worried about for the function of the strongness. But so normally Obi is a very, like, let's say, sometimes very strong power to do that. And we got a pass to the test of the Tumi, so that's very strong ones. And this is another project. This is a project for the contemporary art. We collaborate with New York-based artist, so Teresita Fernandez in New York. Her gallery is the Lima Mopin Gallery in New York, and also there is in Hong Kong. And normally, in this case, we got drawing from her, and we convert to textile. And this is the wide is 6 meter, so we joined the 4 textiles, and the length is 2 meter half. The title is The Nisijin Sky, and we developed transparent textile of urban technique used for samakimono. And this view is transparent, but backside is non-transparent, like this. Just one textile, but we have 2 perspectives, non-transparent and transparent. So all urban technique. And after this project, we use for this technique for the interior project. This is the Ritz-Carlton Tokyo's restaurant. There is 2 pictures, and the left side is the view from the public to the private room. We use the curtain for the private room. So from public, so never see in the rooms. And from private room can be see-through. So sometimes I try to art project. Art project is very hard. The artist is, sometimes designers. Interior project is sometimes we got 19%, we pass the project. But artist is a little bit different. So 0% or 200%. So they just only beauty. So sometimes very hard, but good for us. We develop for new mind, so new concept. So every year we do try to the one artist. And this is another project. This is a 2016. The project, we collaborate with the artists of Sputniko in Tokyo. And we collaborate with the biological laboratory in Japan. And in this case, we take off the DNA of jellyfish and convert to the silkworm, just from science. The jellyfish normally, their protein that change the color. So blue light convert to the green light. The project, so the silkworm have the same function of the jellyfish. So we have a movies. This is under normal light. And next, so blue LED light is coming. The thread is changed. Like this. The green part is from jellyfish, color changing. This is the first time collaborate with traditional Japanese textile with biotechnology. And this is the project, the event moved to the Victoria Albert Museum in London. And finally, Briande decided permanent collection in this art piece. And yeah, this is the exhibition in Tokyo. And this is another project. We collaborate with movie directors David Lynch in 2016 in Tokyo. So this is what it says. So like installations. So David Lynch do the drawing of the spiral, and we make same concept of the spiral textile about 17 meters. This. Yeah, the people walk around these spaces. That's very difficult to explain for the concept, but so yeah, try new challenge. And this is another project collaborated with the Leica's camera brand they use for the bodies of our textiles. This is collaborated with the Citizen, the watchmaker we launched in the Basel. The designed by Sosuke Fujimoto, is the architect in Japan. This is car project, so collaborate with Honda. This is automatic cars for one person. We developed for the seat. This is in this year's collaborate with Infinity of Nissan. We launched on the Motors of Detroit. And this is collaborate with Korean artist Moon Kyungwon. And this is the place is Waikam is art center in Yamaguchi Prefecture in Japan. And in this time is the one picture of the taking the drone on the natures. And this is a collaborate with computing. So the computing into the like a difficult so like a program. So this is very big one, but so we can make one patterns. So this is about 19 meters square. The computers automatically make a patterns because our technique came from our Nishin textile, the history, the 1,200 history. And our turning point is 150 years ago, because 150 years ago, so Japanese government is little bit situation that changed. The emperor moved to Tokyo, and Tokugawa shogun, the samurai period is finished. So we lost our client. And 150 years ago, 3 craftsmen of our Nishijin moved to Lyon in France, and they got a new technique from the Jagad. Yes, the Jagad is a very origin of the computing. That's 01s. So that's good for connection of the computing. That's the first time. And after this project, we started to the R&D with Waikam Art Center, and the Tokyo University joined for this project. And last year, we did the exhibition in the same place, Waikam, and this is R&D, their presentations. And this is R&D with the Tokyo University. So our textiles, so the point is we can make a more complicated structure. Normally, so like flat, basically woven, it's just one layer like this. For us, we have 150 centimeter wide, and we have a 9,000 thread, and we can control by Jagad, each by one. For example, just 10,000 thread going like this, and woven, and after 5 thread like this, we can make a structure, maximum 20 structures. That's our point. And another point is that we can use many kind of thread. Sometimes the paper yarn is like a flat. We have to use like this, and sometimes another kind of yarn. So we can use many kind of thread. And this project we use this specialty, and we got new material into the beauty, the textile. The concept is a hidden technology. but in the technology. So we have a movie. This is the sensing in the textile. The light part is the sensors. The sensor is found this is the structure of woven. The move to the, and the textile controls the whole space of the lighting in these art centers. This is structure of woven, the track to the point. The point is never sees technology, but technology into the beauty. And this is another case. Looks like same textile, but same function. And this is ice bath, and we use the special lacquers. So when, in this case, it's 15 degrees common, so the color is coming up. So we link to the environment with patterns. The color is coming, and the color is back. We use some layers. Another one is the same textile, but we transform. So, yes. And another one is this is a collaborate with more AI, the computing. So we decide we make a software and decide the parameters, and we control the structure of woven. And another part is the computers, so automatically make a structure. That's a never repeat, but this is textile. The structure also never repeat. So this is a 3 meters and 3 meters. It's a new challenge for textile. Yes, that's a time maybe. So, okay, so today, I'm share our experiences and possibilities. And for us, it's the most important thing is our textile decision is just focus to beauty, 1,200. I'm a director of the MIT Media Lab 2 years ago. Many people ask me, so the 3D printer is coming, they moved, so what's the decision? Our answer is we just focus more than 1,000 years, just only beauty. I think believe human being, need a beauty. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Masataka-san, for sharing with us your presentation and also how technology influenced textile diversity. Up next, we have Ms. Gabriela Sánchez de la Barquera on stage. Gabriela is a Mexican-Dutch designer at Vlisco in the Netherlands, creating storytelling projects through textiles and drawings. Since 2017, she has been the head of creative projects at Vlisco, also leading the initiative Vlisco & Co. Gabriela will talk more about her work and vision now. Gabriela, please.
Hello, everybody. I look a bit on that screen. If there are any doubts, you can raise your hand. It's quite a complex story. I'm Gabriela Sánchez. I'm Mexican, and I left my country to study in the Design Academy in Eindhoven. And since then, I have been in the Netherlands working for Vlisco. I am a senior print designer, textile print designer for Vlisco. And 2 years ago, I began as head of creative projects. And very recently, I was appointed head of Vlisco & Co. Let's first start with a bit of history and heritage. I don't know if you are familiar with the brand. Vlisco is a Dutch textile brand. We're 172 years old. And the story began by the family van Vlissingen in the Netherlands, who managed to industrialize a hand printing technique that they learned from Indonesia in their colony. At the same time, Ghana, or the Ivory Coast, was a very strategical point for boats to stop. It was a very important harbor, and big trade was already going on there. So it took really little time for the Indonesian industrialized textile to reach the African culture. We have a huge archive of all the exchange between traders and the Netherlands on how to design and how to print fabric. This is one example, and it's not entirely clear when the wax print became popular in West and Central Africa, but we know that the origin began in the Javanese print. Yeah. So the textile trade in Africa began. Vlisco started collaborating with African women that were trading fabric in the region. And till today, Vlisco has built a very long chain and network of women that live from the textile trade generation after generation. This is in Cotonou, a mother and a daughter traders. And a lot of in our fabric is about storytelling, so it is also very beautiful to see how when you meet a young girl that is a trader and you say, where is the story coming from? She says, I don't know, my grandma told me. This is a trader in Accra and her daughter. And I met this woman last week. After talking to her, I really realized that the traders know till today the market and the culture. And I really believe that till today, they are the ones that carry the knowledge of the community values and in every country we work with. And I think that's the beauty of fabric, right? It speaks to you, but it also speaks to the context. So the design on the right is a very old one. It's a classic, and it's called The Well. And it actually means you have to think deep before you talk. So by the way, these women for me are really, when they talk about the meaning of textiles and how they sell it to the consumers, it really feels that they are almost psychologists because of all the messages they send through the fabric. So you can almost come and say, I really feel bad, my husband is not good, and wear this fabric, and you will send the right message to him. Here is a sample from this design, one of the first prints and conversations we had with the traders. And on the left side, we have a design that is baptized as a bunch of bananas, but it really represents that unity is strength. These are other three textiles that have three different stories. The one on the left means a single tree exposed to the storm will break, but a cluster of trees will withstand the storm. The one in the middle means being a life failure is like being struck by a sword. And the one on the right is a representative of a wood woman. I met this trader in Tamale, in Ghana, last week, and she told me that the fabric next to her means it's better to have a snake close to you than an enemy. The pink one, the meaning is high-quality beads do not make noise when they fall. The third one is just an example of how technology history has influenced our fabrics and how they communicate with our consumers. And just to give you a few more examples of fabrics and their meaning, there are other ones that say, pepper does not ripen all together at once. And that means people do not achieve what they want at once, so do not be anxious if you are not there yet. Some fabrics, they also have the name of presidents they have admired. Another one is, another classic design is, pebbles at home hurt the feet much more, which means people closest to you can hurt you the most. So at Vlisco, we thank our traders till today because they have allowed us to have a dialogue between the brand and the African culture. I think without them, none of the heritage and culture link would exist. And I think also that's why one of the reasons, that's why we're a Dutch brand, but we're called African Print. Of course, we have a huge archive. So the rolls that you see on the left are this design. So if you're familiar with Vlisco, these are classics. This is Against Bad Eye. And the one on the right has many stories in different countries. But our design department used to draw by hand, and we still keep their original drawings. And this is how the design department in the Netherlands in Helmond looks like. So for us, handwriting is still a very important feature. We have 16 designers, and each of them has been chosen because of his strong handwriting. And yeah, we pay a lot of respect to design in the company. And I think it's an idiosyncrasy of each of us that makes the Vlisco collection so strong till today. Each of our prints takes a month to make. These are a few examples of my work as a print designer there. And these are my colleagues' designs. And next to our design studio, we have a 172-year-old factory. And this is a video we made to explain the printing process, because printing one design takes between 2 and 3 weeks, and we use 27 different treatments to the fabric. So now I explain you a bit what the video was about. We begin with white cotton. It's coming from India and China, but we're now working on a big investment of 400 hectares of cotton production in Nigeria. So we hope that we can produce fabric now in Africa. And to the cotton we apply with copper rolls wax. And it's important to specify that although we're an industry, we're industrializing a batik technique because we still use wax. Every centimeter of our fabric is unique because you cannot predict how the wax will behave. So on the left is the wax on the cotton. On the right, it's after the indigo bath. And then on the right, you have the fabric without the wax. We apply color in different ways using rotary printing. And we also have an R&D department and our own lab So we create our own colors. I think we have around 350 different colors. And we keep innovating in that. And in the design department, we work in collections and in color cards also. And it's actually magic because you spend 2 weeks drawing and then you spend 2 weeks coloring your design. So the design you see on the right is exactly the same print, just using different color blocking. And for us, it's very interesting because in Africa, everybody wants to be unique. So using the same design, you can be in a congress and 3 women in the front are sitting using the same design with different tailors. You wouldn't predict it's the same design from Vlisco. These are examples of same designs with different color blockings and to see what the magic of color can do. And we have been also trading with different tribes. So we also have color variations that are only for certain tribes. This is the Igbo. And by using the font colors, so the indigo and the red you see on the right, we can also play with halftone because Vlisco is also characterized by printing in both sides. So we can play with that. And one of our DNA characteristics is the bubble, so the crackling color. And by the amount of indigo you have in the print, the texture of the bubble can also change. So all designers know that. So it's really, that's why it takes a month to design one print. Here's another example how the base color can influence the bubble. And well, this is how our final product looks like. Some of our most recent campaigns. And this is a campaign video launched some months ago. I don't know if we have time to see it all, but we try. It's a long video, so we stop now. So yeah, the product arrives to Africa, to West Africa. We work with Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Niger, and Congo. And we sell a half-finished product. So when our product arrives to West Africa, everybody goes to his or her tailor. And I find it amazing because I think we sell kind of a white canvas, and then everybody is creating a 3D design with it. That's why the graphics are also very important. So they cut it completely and reshape it, embellish it. And I think we're an excellent example of mass-clusivity. So we sell to masses, but then yet every individual is doing his own, making his own garment. Children, babies, and older generations. We have a gap with the youth. I will talk about it later. it's now. I'll talk about Vlisco & Co. I told you I have been print designer since I started at Vlisco, and then 2 years ago I was appointed head of creative projects. And for me, the only way to innovate in the brand was through collaboration. And I was really looking for collaborations in the world, but I pushed to go for the first time to West Africa to see what was first going on. So I went. How did Vlisco & Co. begin? By me going to West Africa to check Nigeria and Benin. I went there. It was 2 years ago, to understand the use of our prints. I saw the traditional way of using them. This is a regular Sunday in Cotonou. Everybody is wearing prints. It's like a gala moment because you have to dress, you have to get your best garment to show to the Lord. But I also saw the economical challenges of the countries we work with. I saw how much copies there are on the market. I saw also that Vlisco is a red carpet product, but it's a very limited audience. Older generations wear Vlisco. Even children might be dressed with wax. But young people don't. And 70% of Africa is young. So I suddenly thought, okay, in 20 years we close. So I realized that we have zero connection with the local young generation. Young people are not engaged with our product, and they are not engaged in the way our brand is behaving locally. So how can we connect? If Vlisco hasn't innovated in 30 years at product level, how exactly is the young generation identifying with our product image? Are they at all? Are they still celebrating all the steps of the cycle of life, because we're also part of giving birth, of death, of marrying? Are they still doing it? And then if yes, how? What is the difference between the diaspora that misses the continent and the people that have never left the continent? How is the relatively new popularity of Africa in the West affecting the old representative symbols of our fabric? And how is this triggering the young people to question the origin of their identity and the future of the images that represent their modern culture and desires? Are we going to engage with young Africans just by creating new products and promoting them using marketing? Are we actually African print if the young people don't wear us anymore? So I want to talk about it with everybody, with all the young people from West Africa, and I haven't stopped my field research till today. How can we create new narratives? How can we inspire new behaviors? So Vlisco & Co. really began as a movement. And a year ago, I started. So I went for my second time to Lagos. And I spent there 2 weeks researching only the creative industries, also in Ghana, in Accra. So I researched illustrators, artists, designers and creative agencies, new initiatives in food and retail. Everything new was interesting to me. What's going on, how people think about the future. And I just began. So last year, we had our first launch of Vlisco & Co. in Accra at the beginning of exactly a year ago. And our first launch in Lagos. Those are the images. As you see, we also try to experiment with new fabrics, because eventually I started working with a young designer, and he told me, there's no way I will use your traditional products, so can you give me a darker fabric? And then we took some experiments we had from years ago, and he used them, and it was also for us the first time we worked with menswear. So we work with two different designers. This is Tokyo James. One of the characteristics of Vlisco & Co. is not to collaborate with established famous designers, but to really be the reference of the discovery of new talent. She's another designer, Abiola Olusola. She's also very young. This is her second collection. And we showcased everything in an event in Alara. It's a kind of a landmark at the moment in Africa. It's a very special retail space. And we collaborated at the same time with Daniel Obasi. I don't know if you know him, but he created a short film showcasing both fashion collections. And I don't know if we have time to see the whole film, but you can Google it. So these are the stills of the movie. And what I love about Vlisco & Co. is that it's not aiming to be perfect. And it is really giving the space for creatives to experiment and develop and try things they haven't done before, maybe. So we premiered the movie during that event. And we also had a photographer, William Olo, make the lookbook of the fashion looks. And this year I began with the strategy of including Ivory Coast to our Ghanaian and Nigerian Vlisco & Co. So I went to Ivory Coast twice this year. The first time was in Abidjan to research the creative industries. And the second time we traveled with a network from south to north to map all the surviving crafts, because I realized also, like, while we were collaborating already with fashion designers, all their accessories, because they don't have access to trimmings for fashion, they go to the bronze casters, I don't know if you say that in English, and all the buttons from the fashion collections are actually bronze casted. So then I thought, okay, let's go and research what we can do with to revive the crafts. These are the final results. It's a photographer photographing two different fashion collections. We also collaborated with a musician that created tracks for the event. This is another lookbook. We collaborated with an architect for the interior of the exhibition and with illustrators. And this is backstage in Abidjan last October. And this year also, because I wanted to continue with Nigeria, I didn't know okay, we cannot just be topic free. So we organized a research trip to the east to research the traditions of the Igbo culture and to see, I took with me the Vlisco & Co. network. So I had an anthropologist and a filmmaker, and we visited the chiefs and the kings, and they showed us their traditional textiles. We went to funerals, we went out, drinking, clubbing, and to understand all the symbols around fashion and accessories that are still used. This is Daniel Obasi, who was with me. Then I organized, a few months later, a roundtable with 2 fashion designers, a musician, a photographer, an anthropologist, and a project manager to discuss the message we wanted to send. And this is the final result. The lookbook is Jagassi Emesi, and she also got inspired. Everybody researched really deep. They are all Igbo, by the way. And Daniel made another movie. I won't show you, I have no time. But these are the stills of the new movie from Daniel Obasi. It's a bit darker, and it's really a summary, a deep summary of the Igbo rituals. And we had an event last September where we showcased everything. This is backstage. And I just came back from Ghana, because we didn't follow up this year in Ghana. And I went there from south to north till the border with Burkina. And the idea was to research about storytelling around the symbols of our fabric, but also to map the crafts and to see how the heritage is seen by the young people. So, for next year, the strategy is to include Congo, continue with Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Ghana. And for me, it's just actually the same collaborative way as in the past with the traders, but now with young people. And, well, I think at such a young age, the Vlisco & Co initiative has turned more into a corporate way to innovate. It has caught the attention not only of the creative community in Africa, but also investors and governments, and anybody who wants to connect with the African youth. It is a young experimental initiative with 2 objectives. The primary objective is to position Vlisco as a relevant brand for the young African consumer, and we do this in 2 ways. The first way, I think our vibrant and visible relationship with the youth will give us credibility again. And the second way is that the same talent could help us learn how young Africans feel about their culture and how Vlisco might adapt to their needs. And our secondary objective is a force for good as a brand. So we give young talent a voice across the region and perhaps across the world by providing financing, education, and development of the creative industries in all West Africa. So part of my strategy in the next 5 years is to organize call for entries, lectures, fashion weekends, exchange programs, and workshops. And I hope that through these formats, we can create a dialogue that facilitates eventually product innovation, but always, always experimental. And why not? Maybe we can have one day a cultural hub in Accra, Lagos, Kinshasa. So this is Vlisco & Co. We continue with the spirit of collaboration. And about the future of a 172-year-old brand, I think it is time for us to be proud of the heritage of Vlisco, find eventually sharp ways to communicate that heritage, but I think it's also very important to innovate and reinvent ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you for sharing with us how story is told through fabric and how innovation can be showcased through collaborations. So now we are going to have a very short coffee break. Please come back at 6:20, and then we'll start the crosstalk section. Thank you.